Imagine a world shrouded in fear, where death lurks on every street corner. The year is 1347, and the Black Death, a devastating plague, has arrived in Europe. Within a few short years, this invisible killer will claim millions of lives. The plague's arrival was swift and brutal, brought by trading ships from the east. As rats carrying infected fleas scurried ashore, they unleashed a horror that would decimate the continent. The disease spread like wildfire, leaving a trail of death and despair. Victims suffered from painful, swollen lymph nodes, fever, chills, and vomiting. Death often came within days of the first symptoms. The stench of death permeated the air as bodies piled up faster than they could be buried. The social and economic fabric of medieval Europe was torn apart as people struggled to cope with the scale of the disaster. The Black Death, a terrifying epidemic of bubonic plague, originated in Central Asia. It spread westward along trade routes, carried by fleas that infested rodents, particularly black rats. These rats often lived in close proximity to humans, facilitating the disease's transmission. Ships laden with goods and infected rats became vectors for the plague's spread. The disease reached Constantinople in 1347, then quickly spread throughout the Mediterranean basin. By 1348, the plague had reached England and engulfed most of Europe. The rapid spread and high mortality rate of both bubonic and pneumonic plague contributed to the pandemic's devastating impact. Overcrowding in cities, poor sanitation, and a lack of medical knowledge facilitated the plague's spread. The Black Death's arrival in Europe unleashed a reign of terror and despair. Cities transformed into desolate landscapes of death and decay. The plague struck the rich and poor alike with terrifying impartiality. Hospitals overflowed and mass graves were dug to accommodate the sheer number of corpses. People were dying so quickly that there weren't enough living to bury the dead. The loss of life was staggering, leaving entire villages abandoned and families decimated. Amidst the death and despair, acts of both great compassion and unimaginable cruelty emerged. Some risked their lives to care for the sick, while others abandoned loved ones, fearing for their own survival. The plague tested the limits of human endurance and exposed both the best and worst aspects of human nature. The Black Death's relentless advance triggered a wave of fear and uncertainty. Religious fervor intensified, with many believing the plague to be God's punishment for humanity's sins. Desperate for salvation, people turned to the church for answers and solace. Processions of flagellants who whipped themselves in public as penance became common sights. Others sought scapegoats, blaming Jews, foreigners, and the poor for the outbreak, leading to violence and persecution. Physicians, often clad in protective clothing and masks, experimented with various treatments, including bloodletting and herbal remedies. While largely ineffective, these efforts marked the beginning of a more systematic approach to disease control. The need to dispose of bodies safely led to the establishment of quarantine measures and new burial practices. These innovations, born out of necessity, would shape public health practices for centuries to come. In the wake of the Black Death's devastation, Europe faced a long and arduous road to recovery. The massive loss of life led to labour shortages, empowering peasants and labourers. With fewer workers available, they could demand higher wages and better working conditions. This shift in power contributed to the decline of feudalism and the rise of a more market-driven economy. The plague also spurred intellectual and artistic movements. The widespread death and suffering prompted questions about the nature of life, death, and the role of religion. These inquiries contributed to the rise of humanism and the Renaissance. The Church's authority, shaken by its inability to prevent or stop the plague, began to wane. This questioning of established authority, coupled with the rise of humanism, contributed to the Reformation in the 16th century. The Black Death, while a distant event in human history, continues to resonate in the 21st century. Its legacy extends beyond history books, shaping our understanding of disease, society, and the fragility of human existence. The Black Death serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact infectious diseases can have on human populations. It highlights the importance of public health measures such as sanitation, quarantine, and disease surveillance. The plague's influence can also be seen in art, literature, and music, exploring themes of death, morality, and the human condition. The Black Death's legacy continues to shape our understanding of history and the forces that shape human civilization. It reminds us of the interconnectedness of human societies and the importance of global cooperation in addressing shared challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic, which swept across the globe in 2020, drew inevitable comparisons to the Black Death. While separated by centuries, these pandemics share striking similarities in their impact on human societies. Both pandemics exposed the vulnerabilities of interconnected societies, demonstrating how quickly diseases can spread in a globalized world. However, advancements in science and medicine have equipped us with tools and knowledge to combat pandemics more effectively. The development of vaccines, antiviral treatments, and sophisticated public health infrastructure has significantly reduced the mortality rate of COVID-19 compared to the Black Death. The COVID-19 pandemic serves as a stark reminder of the importance of investing in public health infrastructure, promoting scientific literacy, and fostering global cooperation to address health threats. The Black Death, a devastating pandemic that swept across Europe in the 14th century, stands as a pivotal event in human history. Its impact extended far beyond the immediate loss of life, shaping the course of social, economic, and cultural development for centuries to come. The plague's legacy serves as a reminder of the fragility of human existence and the interconnectedness of human societies. It highlights the importance of public health measures, scientific advancement, and global cooperation in combating infectious diseases. While the Black Death remains a harrowing chapter in human history, it also offers valuable lessons for the present and the future. By understanding the plague's impact, we can better prepare for and mitigate the impact of future pandemics and build a healthier, more resilient world.